What's up guys, Ian from Eurogamer here, and I've got with me some brand new Watch Dogs gameplay footage given to me by Eurogamer's very own Tom Phillips, who recently went to watch the game being demoed in real time on a dev kit PS4. He's written a lovely preview which is up on Eurogamer.net right now, and I've lifted a few short paragraphs from it for this video. I'll link to it at the end so you can jump on over and get all the rest of the juicy details.
Stay back. Restricted area.
The behaviour and personalities of Watch Dogs NPCs are a big focus for the development team. Playing as a grieved vigilante, Aiden Pierce, players will regularly be caught up in random events when off mission. It's hardly a new concept for an open world game, but by making each NPC character an individual, Ubisoft hopes to give this side content more context. It's great to see people walking down the sidewalk, to see their animations, but players are smart and pretty quickly they just view them as robots, Jonathan Morin, the creative director, explained. One way Ubisoft can combat this is with the short bio that flashes up for each passerby, but the detail goes more than skin deep. You can hack into phones, scroll through text messages and tap into conversations, with relevant locations relating to what was discussed marked on the map for later inspection. The NPCs themselves are the product of a clever bit of behind-the-scenes magic. Every backstory, every look is based on a database. Some of the population will dynamically end up in certain scenarios based upon their personalities, but you'll never see a mugging, for example, happen in the same way twice. The game's main narrative arc remains under wraps, but there are hints that player interaction in side missions will draw parallels with the way that Aiden Pierce personally becomes more obsessed and drawn into the actions of Chicago's population. It's a similar plot mechanic to the way that players steered the evolution of Far Cry 3's protagonist Jason Brody, turning him from a doe-eyed party boy into a cold-blooded tropical menace, validating the change through their own actions as they explored the island. In Watch Dogs, players will expand the scope of their hacking and the scale of intervention across the city in a similar way. Hacking abilities are divided into two types: small-scale actions, scanning passerbys or disabling a nearby car's security system, and then the larger-scale actions that involve accessing the city-wide central operating system, also known as CTOS. Access to the latter must be unlocked district by district by storming local data centres, similar to Far Cry 3's outposts. Armed with CTOS access, Pierce can use the city surveillance technology to identify new side missions and follow up on potential crimes, but such side content is not always crime related. In one sequence we're able to gain access to a local Wi-Fi hub and peer into someone's home. Watching the occupant via his own webcam, we can scan him as if passing him by on the street. Action figure collector his bio reads, and then as we pan the camera around we find him romancing a department store mannequin. Oh, naughty.
It should be.
But as well as smart interactions with AI, Watch Dog will also include opportunities for you to interact with other human players in your single-player game. When you're playing alone, free roaming, there's a bunch of activities you can activate. Sometimes, and you won't know when, the objective that you have is related to what someone else is doing at the same time. When that happens, your reality is merged with another person's and you'll be able to see them. Morin gave the example of a mission where he had to spy on another hacker, but that person was a real player carrying out an objective within their own game who had unknowingly become a part of your city. Sometimes you'll be told if another player will be watching you during these objectives, sometimes you won't. The feature is one of the more recent additions to the game and separate from the game's full-blown multiplayer mode. Expect to hear more about that from us in the coming months. If it sounds like there's a lot to play around with, it's because there is. We don't have full playtest data through yet because it hasn't been played through all in one sitting, Danny Belanger, the lead game designer, added, but I'd expect it would be more than 80 hours to complete everything in the game. Players can access a smartphone full of apps to activate contracts, drop glyphs for friends to find, or simply look up a tune playing on a nearby radio, Shazam style. There's even a version of iTunes where you can buy new apps and games with in-game money, we have been assured, definitely not microtransactions. One AR shooter minigame sees nearby NPCs attacked by purple Metroid-esque aliens, with high scores recorded on global leaderboards. There's still much to find out about Watch Dogs, but it's already looking like an incredibly accomplished open-world experience. The game's lengthy development time definitely shows, and yet there were still plenty of ideas left on the cutting room floor. There's a list we've been reserving for future at this point. We'll see what happens and then see what we can do, Bellinger concluded. We couldn't do everything we wanted, even in 4 years. So there you go, exciting stuff, right? Well, you can find out even more by clicking on that top annotation and heading over to Eurogamer.net to read Tom's full preview. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Eurogamer by clicking on the bottom annotation. We've got more Watch Dogs previews coming up in the near future, as well as great content for the rest of 2013's biggest and best upcoming games. So watch this space. Ha 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 ha. Oh.